Gregory Peck wanted to do some things, maybe get some younger folks going. So he was the president of the committee, and he granted her the ability to vote. Now, do you think she voted for somebody else, or does she probably vote for herself? Meaning, it was tied. Should she had had to wait 3 years like she was supposed to, she wouldn't have gotten that Oscar win. She would have been one vote shy. So they handed her this Oscar. And the EGOT wasn't, let me finish. The EGOT was also honorary. She got the Tony as an honorary. It was a non-competitive Tony. So they handed her the EGOT as well.
So what? They give you honorary things when you've been very successful.
The greatest.
What up, though, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the GOAT Debate Podcast. It is episode number 15 of the GOAT Debate. So glad you guys are joining us for another exciting episode. Of course, Meech and Darius here with you, as always, to debate and discuss the hottest topics in the world. At least I think in the world. We got a great show on deck tonight. This one is exciting, man. I'm really excited about discussing this one. Darius, I think the people are excited too. I know you're excited. We've already been arguing over chat and pre-show prep. So it's going to be a good one tonight, man.
It is. It's a topic that I didn't think was going to be very controversial, but boy, was I wrong. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely a little more. It was a lot of debate in this one, and it went a little deep as far as people sending in their votes and things like that. We want to thank you guys who submitted votes. The tribe, of course, sending in votes on this topic tonight. It went deeper than I thought it was, and you know, you kind of think on the surface. When you think about what we're going to be discussing tonight, there's kind of a few marquee names that come to mind, but it goes way deeper than that. So I'll cut the suspense because everybody's like, okay, Meech, what's the topic? So tonight on episode number 15 of the GOAT Debate, we're jumping into like two worlds, technically. We're jumping into music, but with a little twist. There are many musicians that have made the transition or that have attempted to make the transition to acting, and some of them have done it quite successfully. So tonight on episode 15 of the GOAT Debate Podcast, we are debating the greatest musicians turned actor or actress of all time. And so we're excited about this episode. Can't wait to get into it, and we might as well get started right now. So let's get into it. So, best musician turned actor or best musician turned actress. Before we get into the top 5, Darius, we always start with our honorable mentions. We usually have 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there something else?
No.
He's cutting me off. Oh,
Stokes, you mentioned there was some dialogue prior to the show, some words exchanged before the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to get some clarification. We being me. All right. So
okay,
guys, in our little chat, I posted my top 5. These are great picks. As usual, as you guys know, that I come up with the best picks ever, and I always have a reason.
Debatable.
For my thing. Now, as you see, often when we post, you know, who is in that top 5 from from 5 to 1, next to their name or whatever descriptor, we add something to it. If it could be, years active or a years created, if it's a candy bar. I put a comment on one of the people that may or may not be on this list. And my question was about awards. And Stokes, your first response was, is that your first criteria? Is that what you're basing your picks upon? I said, no, but it's one of them.
Okay.
Do you not? What is your criteria? We got this list here, the GOAT debate, the tribe vote. How are these people making your list if you're questioning awards?
Here's the thing, dears. There are a lot of the musicians turned actors aren't necessarily in, blockbuster films. A lot of them are. Some of them get critical acclaim. Some of them have been in great movies, award-winning movies. My criteria tonight is multifaceted, dearest. So some people get consideration for, or one of the factors is this person actually a good actor? So okay. That's one of the criteria. Another criteria is, hey, did they garner any type of awards? Did they win anything for their acting? That's another piece of criteria. A big criteria for me, a big one for me, was box office success of movies that they starred in. Are these movies that people actually wanted to see? So there were a number of factors, and I know that some of the people that we're going to discuss tonight acted in different, decades, time periods. So box office numbers may not have been as huge of a deal. Those type of people, I looked at awards and things of that nature. So there were a few different things for me personally, people that made my personal list. Those were some of the few things I took into account when I made my list.
Okay, fair enough. And I'm taking notes.
Right.
To be fair, my number one criteria was acting. Since we are musicians turned actors, you have to be able to act.
Right.
And, how well you can act. I also weighed in a little bit of awards, but we'll get into that, why that is it's not the best way to judge. But acting is the creme de la creme. That's what I'm basing everything off of.
Okay, so your main criteria tonight is acting ability.
Acting ability / the roles you played.
Okay.
That's important.
Okay.
All
That's your criteria. As we know, on the GOAT debate, our top 5 is a composite of your top 5, my top 5, and the top 5 of the tribe. And tonight, our top 5s from those 3 sources were different. There were some names, of course, that were similar, but it was a variety in terms of top 5. There were some people in the tribe's top 5 that weren't in yours, that weren't in mine, and vice versa. So it's going to be an interesting night, and we're going to get into it. We're going to start first with our honorable mentions. We usually call it the first 2 out, but we had a tie. So tonight it's the first 3 out, and we're going to start with a young lady. Yes, she's still a young lady. She is definitely one of the most popular actresses, I think, in the last, let's say, 10, 12 years. I remember first seeing her as a fly girl on In Living Color. If I'm dating myself and aging myself, I remember seeing her first as a fly girl on In Living Color. So we saw her dancing ability. Of course, she's a multi-platinum, musical artist, but she is also a very, very good actress. And so our first honorable mention tonight is none other than Jennifer Lopez. J-Lo is our first honorable mention tonight. What are your thoughts on Jennifer Lopez? She got a lot of votes from the tribe. She was actually top 5 in the tribe's voting, but she didn't make either one of our top 5. So what are your thoughts on J-Lo, our first honorable mention of the night?
First of all, you're setting that up with Fly Girl and this and that. I thought you were going Miss Rosa Perez. I didn't know where you were going there.
Oh, okay. That's a good one too, but I don't know that Rosa Perez does music. I don't know.
Yeah, she dances. I don't think she sings. But yeah, J-Lo, that's an interesting one. She's come a long ways. For me, the first time she was on my radar was Selena.
Right, which was critically acclaimed. Her first role, amazing job there. And it's just interesting. I'm trying to recall the most recent thing I saw her on was the cop drama that she starred in. With what's my man's name? You talk about the NBC
Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta.
Yeah. Ray Liotta.
Yeah. We watched that show. That's not that she was good in that
first
too.
Season. She was really good in that.
Yeah.
And more recently, she got nominated for her role in Hustlers, the movie. So yeah. I mean, we get. It's already starting. James Jones.
Oh my God. Okay. We'll get to that later because this is an honorable mention. He says J-Lo was acting before she dropped an album. Technically, she was dancing. She was a fly girl on In Living Color. She didn't act on the show. She was a dancer. So I get it, but this is an honorable mention. We're definitely going to get into that later in the show because that is a hot topic. But one of my favorite J-Lo movies is Monster-in-Law. That was a really, really good one. It was funny. That's the one with her and Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda is her mother-in-law to be and is like a psychotic, coddling mother. So her son is like a mama's boy. And, so that's a great one. But I mean, Jennifer Lopez, man, when you look at her statistics, her movies have grossed over $3 billion. She sold over 70 million records as a music artist. And so in 2012, Forbes ranked her as the most powerful celebrity in the world, which is quite the distinction to have that distinction, that selection, being picked to be the most influential or powerful entertainer in the world. So J-Lo, she could have made this top 5, man. She's a good actress. She's solid. And then she's had a great, she had an amazing movie career. So here's my argument, since James wants to harp on this in the chat room. He said she had a movie role before she sung. She got the role because she could sing. So one could argue that it was her singing ability, her musicianship that got her the role of Selena, because she actually performed Selena's songs in the movie. So I get the point that James is making. And again, we're going to get into that later in the show. But
that one,
I would probably deem J-Lo. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. What is she a musician first? Is she an actor first? That one's a toss up. That one's a toss up. But Jennifer Lopez is our first honorable mention tonight as we debate the greatest musician turned actor of all time. Now, Our second honorable mention, Dares.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about a pop star. Now we're going to go to the world of hip hop. And this guy is another good actor. He is a multi-platinum, award-winning hip hop artist. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, I could be wrong. I think he might be the first rapper to ever go platinum. I could be wrong on that. I have to check the stats. But his movies have generated almost $1 billion in the box office. He's at about 995 million, so he's very close. Some of his movie credits include Deep Blue Sea, Any Given Sunday, which is one of my favorites, Last Holiday, and then he also has a great run. I don't know if the show is still on or if it's just in syndication, but it has a great run. It's a great TV show, NCIS. We're talking about none other than Ladies Love Cool James, not James in the chat room, but LL Cool J is our second honorable mention on greatest musician turned actor of all time. Listen, LL was another one that the tribe loved. He came in fourth in the tribe's voting for best actor or best musician turned actor. He got a lot of love and consideration in this voting. And what are your thoughts on LL? You gotta look on your face as if to say, the ladies love Cool James, but Darius don't love Cool James. Is that what you're trying to say, man?
I'm definitely saying that. I mean, like, he's all right. Top 5 worthy? Nah. I mean, listen, you made Stokes dropped out on that note, but Stokes made a point that, who is J-Lo playing? Or somebody made a point. I think Shane made that comment about J-Lo playing a stripper and receiving a nomination for an award. I mean, if you go through the cast of characters that LL has played, he's not really reaching. Stokes, comes back in. He's trying to. I was saying LL doesn't reach in any of his roles. Like, isn't that wasn't Jamie the one going after him for pretending the football? Any Given Sunday was that?
Yeah. Not even. They had beef. They had beef in Any Given Sunday. They had like a real life fight.
Because he thought it was real.
So they had beef. Yeah. That's real.
He plays roles that are very close to who he thinks he is. So it's not that hard for him to go outside his bubble. I mean, he's not over here doing Shakespeare. He's not,
Okay.
So.
Okay. But we're okay. Okay. Is LL Cool J a thespian? No. However, he's a solid actor. NCIS, highly rated television show, good TV show. He's been in several movies. And listen, I'm not saying he's top 5 worthy either. He didn't make my top 5 either, Darius, but apparently the tribe liked him a lot, enough to put him in their top 5. And so he gets some recognition tonight as an honorable mention. No, he does not he did not win any awards or any type of critical acclaim for any roles that he's played in. His movies are just okay at best, but however, he did successfully make the transition from music to acting, so he deserves some credit for that.
I guess.
No,
he's not getting it from me.
We just not giving him any love.
I mean, listen, we got him. We got Ice-T got votes, like really Ice-T, because he was on Law and Order. I mean, he was on a successful show. He played that role fine.
Okay.
But, I mean,
Ice-T was in some good movies too. Hello, New Jack City, bro. Come on, man.
Again, stereotypical roles here. Like he's in this lane.
You know what? He played the role. Actually, it's not stereotypical because he was a cop. He was an undercover cop in New Jack City. Yes, he was undercover, so he was, posing as if he was a thug in the movie, right? If he was one of the
well, I don't think he's a thug in real life, but
henchmen.
I mean, he plays in that, that cool cat, realm is what it is. So I mean, it's not a leap, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and then he was in don't get me started. I'm trying to think of the other movie that he was in that was, again, I get the point you're trying to make. Right. He's typecast in typical roles. He doesn't really show any range, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But Ice-T's not in the top 5 anyway, but I just wanted to make the point that he has been in some solid movies. And he's on Law and Order, which is one of the greatest shows on television.
It's one of my favorite TV shows.
Probably ever. So, Ice-T probably could get a little bit of love too. But LL Cool J, our second honorable mention. And then our last honorable mention of the night is somebody who I feel like should have been in the top 5. This is someone who the Tribe loved. Darius, do you know how much the Tribe loved them?
No, I do not.
They loved them so much, or I'm sorry, they loved her so much that she was ranked second in the Tribe's voting. Did not make our top 5 because she was not in our personal top 5s, yours or mine. So our next honorable mention is a multi-platinum hip hop artist. She deserves to be on this list, man. When you just think about,
why did you put her there then?
In hindsight, I'm like, man, she deserves to be on this list. Multi-platinum hip hop artist. She's been in great movies like Chicago. She got an Oscar nomination for her role in Chicago. She had one of my favorite TV shows of all time that she was on, Living Single, which is a great. See, what I like about people like LL Cool J, and our last honorable mention here, which obviously is Queen Latifah. I like the fact that in addition to being in movies, they were also on television shows, and actually television shows that had a decent run. And listen, LL Cool J, just to backtrack a little bit, before NCIS, he had In the House. I don't know if you remember that TV show,
right?
That ran for a little while. It wasn't like a one season and got canceled. He got a few seasons out of In the House. But circling back to Queen Latifah is probably one of the best musician turned actors ever. But she just missed our top 5. She was, our first honorable mention. She was very close to the top 5, didn't quite make it. But Queen Latifah is definitely deserving a top 5 consideration. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree. She's not my favorite. I think she's a little corny and, so.
Oh, my God.
You don't think she's corny? She's kind of corny. She's like.
I enjoyed her. The movie that she had, Bringing Down the House, with her and Steve Martin. That movie is hilarious, man. That movie is super funny. That movie is funny. I did not like Taxi with Jimmy Fallon.
No.
That was whack. But Bringing Down the House was funny. Last Holiday she did with LL Cool J, ironically. That wasn't bad. I could see how you might deem that one as a little bit cheesy. But Chicago, I'm not a big musical guy, so I think I might have saw that once and kind of left that alone. But deserving of the Oscar nod for that. Set It Off, great movie. Set It Off is an excellent movie. Her role as Cleo in that movie was critically acclaimed. She shows range, unlike people that we talked about before. She can be funny, she can be dramatic, so she shows a little bit of range. I definitely thought she was deserving of the top 5. In hindsight, I feel bad about her not making it, but she is deserving of some recognition tonight. So I am glad that we at least have her on our honorable mentions list.
Yeah, I enjoyed her the most on Living Single. That was, when I think of Queen Latifah, that's where that's where I go to before music, before any of the movies. Even though she, you mentioned she got nominated for an Oscar for Chicago that you mentioned. And she's done a lot of good stuff since then. You talk about her range. She ended up, getting nominated for an Emmy. No, wait, I think she got an Emmy for Bessie and a Golden Globe for Life Support, which are movies that aren't, something that you would kind of, pigeonhole her into. So she shows range. She's good. She's like I said, she's not my favorite actress, but I definitely, can appreciate what she's bringing to the table.
Yeah. Can't forget about Girls Trip. That's actually her most recent movie. That movie's very funny.
She got blown out of that, thanks to everybody's love for Tiffany Haddish.
Right. Well, Tiffany Haddish was the the standout in that movie, but it was a good movie. She was a part of that. She's been a part. You talk about animation. She's been a part of the Ice Age movies. So she's jumped. That's further showing her range. She Just Right, which was a basketball movie that she did with rapper Common, another musician turned actor, which he didn't get any consideration. Common, but he's been in some solid movies. He was in John Wick. He was in another movie where he was. I guess anytime they meet a bald black assassin, they gotta cast Common for those roles. Because what was the movie? It was like something with aces in it, like Smoking Aces. He was in Smoking Aces. So yeah, but Queen Latifah, man, is a great actress. A lot of range, like you said. In addition to Living Single, she's done some other TV specials, things of that nature. She had a talk show, the Queen Latifah Show, for a while. So, man, Queen Latifah, man, I think she makes an honorable mention, but I think she is a snub tonight. I think she probably should have been in the top 5. James in the chat room says Bringing Down the House was hilarious. Shane says we were talking about Common being in Smoking Aces. That movie was badass. And James says Common is decent.
I agree with James. I agree with James.
Yeah, no, okay. I'm not saying he's like, the greatest actor in the world, right. But he decent enough, good enough.
Yeah.
All right, man. So those are our honorable mentions tonight. Jennifer Lopez, LL Cool J, and Queen Latifah. So now, of course, we get into the meat and potatoes. We get into the top 5. And starting at number 5 is this guy, man. Listen, you're talking about multifaceted. He had a music career that fizzled out fast, very fast. He started on the scene as a rapper. He gave us, I think, Good Vibrations. I think is the hit record that he had, as a attempt at being a hip hop artist. That song was a hit, but the rest of it didn't go well. But this guy has built quite a movie career, an acting career for himself. Listen to this, Darius. Over $6 billion in the box office, bro. $6 billion. This guy makes good movies. He's entertaining as an actor. I enjoy more movies of his than I don't enjoy. And so coming in at number 5 on our list of the greatest musician turned actors of all time is Mark Wahlberg. I don't think he likes to be called Marky Mark anymore. But Mark Wahlberg, as you see there, for those that are watching live on Facebook, Mark Wahlberg is a 2-time Oscar-nominated actor. As I alluded to, his box office success is undeniable. He's been in a lot of good movies, from Shooter to Four Brothers to the Transformers movies. You know, you name it, Mark Wahlberg has been in them all. The Planet of the Apes remake, the reboot of Planet of the Apes. He did that. He was in that movie. So what are your thoughts on Mark Wahlberg and where he placed here on our list here coming in at number 5?
First, I can't go too far to congratulate him without, at least addressing his questionable, at best, history. I'll let folks Google it. So for that, I was iffy. He was my 5th, and maybe I should have replaced him with Queen Latifah, because I think he's a better producer than actor. You mentioned how great his movies are. Ted was a major. I think that might be in like the highest R-rated, grossing box office comedy. So he's made great movies, that a lot of people have flocked to, and he's found a way time and time and again to continue to find success. And you mentioned that career, started off with New Kids on the Block, following his older brother Donnie, and that fizzled out, as you said, really quickly. So for him to make this transition over to acting, and he's clearly one of the hardest workers in the business. So for that, he gets some credit too. But his pictures are amazing. I don't think he's the greatest actor. I don't think he shows the greatest range, but the stories that he picks out, the stories he tells, just are unbelievable. So, for that alone, he's been able to make this transition a success, and that's why he made my top 5.
Yeah, definitely, man. He definitely makes really good movies. Again, even the movie I saw, his Netflix movie, Spencer Confidential, which he made the best of it. It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but it was decent enough. But again, I forgot about Ted, man. I forgot about Ted's success. It's again, those movies are so funny. Again, I would say I probably enjoyed the first one a little more so than the second. What 2 films did he get Oscar nods for? Because I didn't really know that he actually was a 2-time Oscar nominee. That's actually new information to me.
I believe it was The Departed and The Fighter.
Okay, gotcha. And then I just saw in the chat room, I missed it there. James said The Departed was awesome. Yeah, The Departed was good. I know it got a lot of critical acclaim. So yeah, The Departed was good. Claire in the chat room, of course, brings up his past history, talks a little bit about the racial crimes that he was involved in back in Boston. So definitely noted there. I think you talked about that a little bit. And then James, of course, also agrees with you that Mark is a better producer than he is actor. But you talked about, his family's talented, right? His brother was a member of New Kids on the Block.
Yep.
His other brother, they all have partnered up and they have Wahlburgers, which is, a popular hamburger chain. So he's ventured off into the business world. The burgers actually aren't bad. We actually have one here in the Detroit area, so I was able to try it one time. So not bad with the Wahlburgers. And yeah, man, just a solid actor across the board. And we forgot about Daddy's Home, the movie with Will Ferrell. That's another one that sticks out for me. I'm a big Will Ferrell fan, so any movie with Will Ferrell in, I like. So number 5, Mark Wahlberg on our list of greatest musician turned actors. And now to number 4, which I think is controversial for Darius, not for me, because this guy made my list and he made the Tribes list as well. And you talked about production, and I'm glad you brought that up when we talked about Mark Wahlberg, because this guy may not be the greatest actor in the world.
Nope.
You might feel like he's often typecast, although I'm going to prove to you that this man does have some range. Okay. And quite frankly, I could argue of all the people in our top 5, his movies are more entertaining for me than some of these other people in our top 5. I enjoy his movies probably more so than any of the people we're going to discuss for the rest of the night. Of course, as a musician, Darius Brown, this guy was in one of the most iconic hip-hop groups of all time, NWA. Coming in at number 4 on our list of greatest musician-turned-actors is none other than Ice Cube. I'm going to give you the floor because you don't like the fact that Ice Cube is in the top 5, but I'm going to explain to you why he most definitely deserves to be, but I'll let you have the floor.
Listen, I'm gonna try not to sound like a broken record tonight, because you talk about range. There is no range. You say you're gonna prove it to me. I like to see that. Okay. He is the tough guy and everything. What's it? Daddy's Home or Daddy Goes Driving, whatever.
No, are we there yet?
Okay, so maybe that shows a different side of him. Honestly,
exactly. Is that
where you're gonna go?
That was gonna be Exhibit A, sir, because he shows a soft, sensitive, caring, fatherly side.
Movie, sir.
In Are We There Yet? He also shows that range in Barbershop too. There's some moments in Barbershop where he has to show a little bit of range. He's not just always the tough guy that's beating people up. He shows
like
range.
Fist fight.
Listen, Boys in the Hood. Boys in the Hood, he shows range, right? When Ricky died, Ricky is his brother. Morris Chestnut's character plays his brother Ricky. When Ricky dies, he shows range. He's emotional. He's crying and, thug tears in Boys in the Hood, but crying nonetheless. Ice Cube, yes, he's a menacing, tough guy. In a lot of movies, you think 21 Jump Street, he's like the chief or whatever, and he's like super, super tough in that movie. But, that's another movie. Queen Latifah was his wife in that movie. And that scene where they're like at that dinner and he gets like pissed because they don't put enough food on his plate, that is pure comedy. But Ice Cube does show range.
Tanisha says, don't sleep on Anaconda, which stars J-Lo and Ice Cube.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He's okay. I do. When you say enjoy a lot of his movies, yes, I 100% agree with that. I watched the Ride Along series. They're good to put on late at night. Fridays, of course, is a classic. Is a classic for all. 21 Jump Street, where he's just the angry sergeant and that, but that's it's a fun one to put on. And that's a lot of his movies there. So
and then we also have to point out, which we made the point with Mark Wahlberg, Ice Cube produces a lot of movies, including the ones he stars in himself. He produced
I guess Stokes was going to tell us all the great movies he produced, but he dropped out. My question was, I know a lot of these, we started off by saying we're not hooked on awards and actors that have awards. All I could find was he was at Hollywood Walk of Fame. Like, I think he has a couple Blockbuster awards, but that goes back to, I guess, NWA was out before the very first Grammy came out. Stokes is just now Stoke, are you just putting Departed was awesome?
Oh, my bad.
Okay, it was a good movie.
It is.
Calm down, Stokes. We're off of that now.
I know.
I'm talking about Ice Cube.
I'm having mad technical difficulties over here, man. I apologize. Is it still up? It's gone, right?
It's gone now. I was trying to question, like, you put out all these great movies, and we know about his musical his music career and everything like that, but not a lot of awards. But he has the movies. He's got the catalog. He's got movies that people want to watch again and again, and that he's made sequels of these movies.
Right.
So he's found amazing success.
Yes. And then I know I got cut off when I was talking a little bit about the production credits, but yes. As I said, he produces a ton of those movies. Straight Outta Compton was a great movie. Obviously, it was depicted. His life was a part of that movie, and he produced that, and of course, a lot of other movies through his Cube Vision company. And this dude started the Big Three. I know that has nothing to do with acting.
Yeah, nothing what we're talking about, but yes.
It has nothing to do with acting, but the dude is just a mogul across the board. So I absolutely believe that Ice Cube was deserving of a spot on this top five. His first movie role ever, Boys in the Hood, he was excellent in that movie. He was excellent in that movie. So everybody's clowning me right now. I'm having technical difficulties. Shane says I'm doing my best Nelly from the Versus Battle with Ludacris impression, as I can't seem to stay connected. My interwebs are acting a little foolish right now. But Darius, man, let's get into number 3. And you had controversy with Ice Cube being at number 4.
Yeah.
I have controversy with the person that is coming in at number 3.
Okay.
An amazing actor, an excellent actor, an Oscar award-winning actor, a Grammy award-winning musician.
Okay.
But as the question goes, as the saying goes, what came first, the chicken or the egg? We're not so sure with this guy. But coming in at number 3 on our list is none other than Mr. Jamie Foxx. And I have an issue with this, Darius, but I'm going to let you tell us why Jamie Foxx was deserving of being on this list and why he came in at number 3.
Okay, so and he drops again. How am I going to tell you how Jamie Foxx came in at number 3 if you're going to leave the podcast? All right, regardless of Stokes, joining us or not, the reason, I'm glad he left, so that way I can maybe get this out without yelling. He gave J-Lo the credit for being able to sing, which gave her the role of, Selena. And I see James in the chat said that his first album dropped in 1994. And I guess he's saying that he was in Toys in 1992. But he was a musician before he started acting. All right. So this is how the flow works. Musician turned actor. Jamie Foxx grew up in the church where he was the choir leader and musical director at New Hope Baptist in Texas, making $75 a week as a musician. Then, as his career, he's getting paid. He is a professional, whether it's church or not, he's getting paid. Then he went on to be in an R&B cover group in high school, Leather and Lace. He says they were horrible. I guess they were. I'll take his word for it. But he was in a group. He was He was a musician, Stokes. And then after that, he enrolled in an international university in San Diego on a music scholarship. Please, Mitch, I see you're coming in, I hope you get the themes. This isn't who is the most well-known. This isn't if you're recognized. It is what you recognize yourself. Stokes, I know you're coming in. I need to ask you this. Right now, I build websites for a living. That's what I do. Do you know the jobs that I held before I built websites? Give me a nod, sir, if you can hear me. All right. Whether you knew or not that I was a writer, whether you knew personally if I was a writer before I held this job does not matter. It does not make me not a writer. So whether you knew or didn't know that Jamie Foxx was a paid musician before he got his first break in the acting, an acting class or an audition, doesn't negate the fact that he was a musician. So he was a musician first before he was an actor. That is the criteria. What was your occupation before? And then what did your occupation become? He was a musician first. Then he went to acting, found success. That success opened the doors to where he can then go back to his first love, which he calls his first love, which is music. And then he, made his album, and he won a Grammy to go along with his Oscar. That's why I have him as number one, because he hit the highest of high of both music and film. And James says, maybe James thinks he was an up and coming basketball player. No, nobody said you were a superstar basketball, James, but you did play basketball. Now, whether you got paid to play basketball, that's a different conversation. Jamie Foxx got paid. Was he great? He says he wasn't. He wasn't good, but he got paid. So he was a musician before he transitioned over to the acting world. So you can't throw him out. If he's doing that, he's no less than J-Lo, who we've given the pass to because she had the ability to sing. I don't know what she did before she got onto In Living Color and before she got into Selena. Stokes, you're finally back. I know you heard that, but I don't know what J-Lo did. Tell me J-Lo's top song before she came in. We were discussing privately about, because I wanted to include Justin Timberlake into the conversation, but he also starred in the Mickey Mouse Club growing up, which was acting and singing. And you said, well, he did have to be able to sing to get that position in the Mickey Mouse Club. So all this to say, Jamie Foxx wasn't a singer all of his life. He got paid. So he wasn't just like James over at the rec league trying to think he was a superstar. He was getting paid. He was a professional to do that job, and then went into a better job or better position, but was able to transition back. What are your thoughts?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, I had to. Yeah,
that was a long rant.
I had to. You
had me ranting.
Listen, I get what you're saying, but my point is this: Jamie Foxx gained notoriety as an actor first. Mm-hmm. Every person on our list, honorable mention, top 5, everybody that we're talking about tonight, debatable. But everybody else.
She's not even a singer. We knew her as a dancer, if anything. And she got a pass.
Fine. Noted. Fine. But yes, that was a tribe vote. Jamie Foxx did not make my personal top 5, because I felt like he gained his notoriety as an actor and a comedian first. Unlike Ice Cube, who gained his notoriety as a singer, or I'm sorry, a rapper first. Marky Mark, Good Vibrations, that was first. Our number one person,
So they have to
all
be
were
successful, is what you're
musicians,
saying.
all were musicians first. For me, yeah, the notoriety had to come from music. I'm not gonna say because Jamie Foxx sung at a couple of backyard barbecues, I can go in my backyard right now and start singing and proclaim myself to be a singer. And then if I become an
Right.
Oscar award winning actor, I'm not gonna be like, well, I was a singer first. I mean, I get your point. However, Jamie Foxx gained his notoriety as a actor and comedian on In Living Color. Did a couple of movies before we even knew he could sing. I think the first time I knew he could sing was maybe one of his stand-up shows. I think he incorporated singing in that. I know he
Because
hosted
he's a
the
singer.
EPSIs. I know he hosted the EPSIs, and he did the Can I Be Your Tennis Ball for Serena Williams, where he kind of serenades her. Right.
Because he's
I'm
a
not
singer.
I'm not denying that he has the ability to sing. He's a good singer. All I'm saying is his notoriety came from acting. Nobody knew. He didn't even get put on as a singer until he got put on and became popular as an actor. That's my point. So that's why personally he didn't meet the criteria for me to be in a top 5 of, musician turned actor, because technically he's an actor turned singer.
I think technically he's a musician turned actor. You're hooked on he had to be
cucumbers
famous.
taste better pickled, Darius. Potato.
Well, that's true. I agree with you on that.
Listen, we could debate it. He made the list. The tribe actually, he got votes from the tribe too. So, I mean, the tribe somewhat agrees with you. I want to say Jamie Foxx was top 5 in tribe voting. I want to say he was like 5th. He wasn't 1, 2, or 3. I think Ice Cube was number 3, but I think he was 5th, 4th or 5th. So, the tribe somewhat agrees with you, man. I'm not gonna I can't argue about it, but listen, he's a great actor and he's a really, really good singer too. So
yes,
he's on the list. I don't agree with it, but he's here. Here we are. You got to deal with it. So, it is what it is. So Jamie Foxx coming in at number 3. Now we're down to number 2. And this one, I had to convince you because at first you thought I was crazy. You were hating on me a little bit for putting this person on my list when I brought her name up. It's a little unconventional because her acting, she doesn't do it as consistently anymore. Like, she's not actively acting, but her accolades compared to anybody else in this top 5, she probably blows them out of the water. She's a multi-platinum singer. She's won more than 1 Oscar. Now, granted, her movies, her popularity was probably several decades ago, even though she's still somewhat popular today. But her Oscar wins were some decades ago. Musically, acting, she's won every award. She's an EGOT award winner. So she has an Emmy, she has a Grammy, she has an Oscar, she has a Tony Award. So coming in at number 2 on our list of greatest musician turned actor is Barbra Streisand. That's right. Barbra Streisand. I said EGOT. Dara says PEGOT. Oh, because the P is a Peabody Award. She's won them all, man. Barbra Streisand. We could argue that she should be number one.
Yeah, I had to. Okay, so you talk about the controversy. Let me peel the curtain back just a little bit. My issue with Barbra Streisand being on the list is how many Barbra Streisand films have you actually seen to call her a great actress? We're going off of
do we have to see the movies though? I mean,
to know what you're
Oscars kind of say you're a great actress.
No. So let's talk about those two Oscars. So when so a couple years prior, maybe 1, 2, 3 years prior, she won she won a Grammy, right? She came out big bang with the Grammy, right? Yep. Then she gets this film, and it's her first major film. So she's already a star musically. She comes in here. Now, she didn't win it outright. That Grammy was co-owned with Katharine Hepburn. And here's why that's funny.
The Grammy or the Oscar?
The Oscar. The Oscar that she got for her first film was co-owned. Now here's the kicker.
Okay.
Typically, you have to wait 3 years to be able to vote for the Oscars, or you have to be an Academy Award winner. One of those two conditions.
Okay. This
is her first film. Gregory Peck wanted to do some things, maybe get some younger folks going. So he was the president of the committee, and he granted her the ability to vote. Now, do you think she voted for somebody else, or does she probably vote for herself? Meaning, it was tied. Should she had to wait 3 years like she was supposed to, she wouldn't have gotten that Oscar win. She would have been 1 vote shy. So they handed her this Oscar. And the EGOT wasn't, let me finish. The EGOT was also honorary. She got the Tony as an honorary. It was a non-competitive Tony. So they handed her the EGOT as well.
So what? They give you honorary things when you've been very successful at stuff. So for her to get an honorary Tony, I mean, shoot. Spike Lee got an honorary Oscar. Does that mean he's not deserving of it? Spike Lee's a great director, right? Listen, I mean, if me and you won co-MVP of a basketball game, am I not the MVP? Because I have to share it with you. If somebody was not supposed to be able to vote you to be MVP, then no, you would not. I would not recognize you. So if say there's a presidential election, and what are the presidential candidates, which can't happen because I know electoral college, I know, but they win by 1 vote, and that 1 vote was them voting for themselves, are they not the president? That would be as if they moved from a different country or was a felon and wasn't able to vote, and somebody said, let's just let them vote real quick, and they voted themselves in. That's what it is. But okay, disregard all that. It's just controversy that I just like to throw out. The other thing is I feel like if we were last week when the week we were talking about best candy bars, I have to taste the candy bar to decide whether or not it's truly the best. I have to see what she's done. So I went back and I watched. I didn't watch films. I only could watch clips. And I had to call my mom because I was like, does she only do musicals? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like,
because every clip on YouTube is of her singing. You know, she got that
Mhm.
start singing and thing, but apparently not. But I watched the clips and I laughed. I enjoyed the clips that I was able to watch. So I was able to see and validate. Okay, you know, okay, now I see why people for decades have fallen in love with her. She was the it girl of the 60s and 70s, and
Right.
you know, she was starring with, you know, Robert Redford, another major star in a lot of films. So, you know, she was doing, you know, she was the biggest and the best of her time. So I see why folks have her on such a high pedestal, you know, because, you know, her stuff was actually pretty funny. A lot of
Yeah,
singing,
and
though. A lot of singing. Although
yeah,
it's
well, I
not a
mean
musical.
that's what she does. I mean, she can sing. So I enjoy the most recent movies I've probably seen her in were the, you know, the Meet the Parents sequels. You know, Meet the Fockers,
Right.
Little Fockers. You know, those movies, and you know her character. She was very funny. You know, she was like a sex therapist, very funny in those movies. And so Barbara Streisand, man, is people don't think we have range, Darius, but we've just proven tonight that, hey, we got some range. We did a little research. We're backing the stuff up with factual information. And Barbara Streisand, of it from an award perspective, she's more accomplished than anybody in our top five.
Yeah.
When
Grammys
you talk
upon
about
Grammys.
Oscars, Grammys, you know, Tonys, Peabodys,
Emmys.
Emmys. I mean, she's won them all. And that alone, we can make a case for her being number one. But she comes in at number two on our list of greatest musician turn actor, Barbara Streisand. All right. So before we get to number one, I think many people probably can guess who's number one. Let's talk a little bit about snubs. Who didn't make the honorable mention? Who didn't make the top five? That probably deserve a little bit of love. We talked a little bit about some of the tribes' choices, so we don't have to get into those. We talked about Ice-T. Ice-T got some
Right.
votes. You know, there were several, you know, musicians turned actors who got votes. Whitney Houston. You know, we talked about Ice-T. There was some Jill Scott votes. There was
Brandy?
some.
Did Brandy get any?
Yeah, Brandy got a substantial amount of votes. Elvis got some votes. Bette Midler got votes. That was another one that, you know, Bette Midler during her time, she had a very nice run. There
That
were a
was
lot.
Tanisha in the chat. She just put that Bette Midler she would have put over Barbara Streisand, she says.
Oh, you're tripping, Neff. You're tripping. I don't know if you can put Barbara over Bette Midler over Barbara, but Bette Midler was a good actress. No. So yes, I mean there were a number of people that got consideration. We even got a Snoop Dogg vote, which
Oh,
that was
stop
funny
it.
to
That
me.
was not
We got a
happening.
Snoop Dogg vote. We got a 50. We got a 50 Cent vote.
Nope.
Which that came from Shane. I'm gonna call Shane out. I
Oh,
know he said he had to go
wow.
teach.
He
But
left.
we gotta
Yeah, he better have left before that came out.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a 50 Cent vote. Listen, he was great as Kanan on Power. Don't get me wrong. But I would 50 Cent is not one of the first people that come to mind when I think about great musicians turned actors. So I called
Hey, he wasn't even
my
the best
coworker actually
musician.
voted for Snoop. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say,
Can you hear me?
50 wasn't even the best musician turned actor on his own show. J. Cole was amazing in his cameo appearance.
Oh, come on. But no, there were other musicians. I mean, you gotta think.
From
Naturi
3LW.
Naturi Naughton. Yeah. Naturi Naughton, who played Tasha on Power. She was a musician first. She got a vote as well. Rotimi, the guy who plays Dre, he was a musician, but his music, he has the Jamie Foxx thing going on. His music came out
We ain't never heard of him. He ain't the real musician.
he started acting. So Rotimi doesn't really count. But there were a lot of there were a few musician turned actors on Power. Kendrick Lamar had a cameo in Power.
That's what I meant.
And now the new season of, you said J. Cole, yeah. The new season of or the new version of Power, Book 2 or whatever, Mary J. Blige and Method Man are in that, and they're both musician turned actors. Mary J. Blige actually has an Oscar nomination, bro. Don't sleep on MJB. Mary J. Blige actually has an Oscar nomination.
Okay.
And Method Man is not a bad actor. He was
if you tell me he's got an
great
Oscar nomination
on The Wire. Method, he does it. But he was good on The Wire. How High is hilarious. I mean, hey, that's like a cult classic. That's a really funny movie. He was in with Redman. So, but yeah, man. But anyway, I know you want to bring up a snub. I think I know who you want to bring up. So I'm gonna give you the floor and talk about your snub before we get into number one.
Yeah, my snub. I've spoke out a little bit was Justin Timberlake. I thought he definitely should have gotten a little bit more recognition because he's very captivating. Like was it Out of Time, In Time, Out of Time, whatever that movie is. Doesn't matter if I remember or not.
Captivating.
He was good in that. He was really good in that.
All right. He was really good.
And listen,
he was good in Trolls. He was good in Trolls.
A major. You talking about box office?
Yes, that's a big one.
Two was a monster for.
I still haven't seen that.
Well, yeah. I think we saw it. It was okay, but he also's got 3 Emmys. 3 Emmys for SNL. Some of it was song, and some of it was for was for. Listen, are you serious? Listen, he's great.
He's not top 5 worthy.
You're kidding me. He should be acting way more.
I'm sorry.
Way more. What?
No, he's a decent actor. We still
rewatch In Time. Go rewatch In Time. He was really good in that. Really good in that. Yeah, just go watch that. I think that's my favorite movie that he's done. And don't forget about him in the Social Network movie. He was really good in that too.
He was good in that. Listen, I'm not saying JT's
not a good actor. He's just not top 5. You keep breaking out.
So he doesn't have the body. He doesn't have the body. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but
am I back?
You're back. Yep.
He just doesn't have the body of work. James brought up a movie he was good in, Black Snake Moan. He was good in that movie.
Lots of emotion in that movie.
Yeah. Black Snake Moan. That's another one that he was in that was pretty good. So, real quick, and hopefully I don't cut out. My technical difficulties are bananas right now, so I apologize. But my honorable mention, she was number 5 on my list, so she didn't garner enough votes. She did get a couple of votes from the tribe. I think 1 other vote. But my honorable mention, my snub tonight is Cher. Cher is in the 80s. Cher was like what Barbra Streisand was like in the 60s. I mean, Cher won an Oscar. She had Mask. She had Moonstruck. She had, I think, Witches of Eastwick. I mean, she had some really big movies that she was in back in the 80s, coupled, of course, with her being like probably the biggest, or if not the biggest, one of the biggest like pop music stars. So Cher was my snub tonight. I thought she definitely was top 5 worthy when you factor in the Oscar win and some the success of her movies, she was an honorable mention for me. I'm sorry, she was a snub for me. I keep saying honorable mention. She was a snub.
Okay.
You have nothing to say? You got nothing?
I haven't seen any of her movies. Not one. Like nothing has ever, compelled me to go watch. So Barbra Streisand was, her numbers were so ridiculous. I had to go and look it up for myself. Cher. I've got nothing.
Yeah. Well, I used to watch the movie she had called Mask all the time. It was like based on a true story. She was the mother of a kid with like a facial. He was born with like this bone structure deformity, and so coping with that and navigating, helping him navigate through the world, being teased and bullied and all these different things. That was a really good movie, and Cher was great in that. Claire says, if that's the case, Dolly Parton should get mentioned. Dolly Parton was popping for a minute, man. But yeah, Dolly Parton could get some consideration, but yeah, Cher was my snub tonight. All right, guys. So without further ado, we're going to get into number one. Who is the top musician turned actor of all time? And coming in at number one, listen, man, this guy had a song about the summer. He told us to get jiggy with it. He told us parents just don't understand. Girls in the world ain't nothing but trouble. I mean, he's giving us all this great advice. And then he goes to the world of cinema, and this dude becomes a megastar. Megastar. So coming in at number one on our list of greatest musician turned actor is none other than Big Willie style, Will Smith. Hey, man, he deserves it. Number one. Got to be number one.
Yeah, so somebody commented that through the 90s, he owned the summer. Every July 4th was Big Willie style. He, hit after hit after hit. I mean, he conquered television. And as you said, he conquered the movies after that. It's just crazy, how well he did. And his move, and he continues. He hasn't had like a really major success in a while. I guess outside of Bad Boys, the newest Bad Boys, I think was a pretty big hit for him. But he's the first ever to win a Grammy in rap. 2-time Grammy winner, 2-time Oscar nominated. One of those losses was to Denzel for Training Day.
Right.
So it's almost it's kind of like, dang, he doesn't have more trophies at home for all these blockbusters and these hits that he's done, but he's played a variety of characters. We talk about range, some good, some not so good. Some futuristic folks. He's played real life people. Superheroes. Yeah. And when his movies come on, it's one that no matter how many times you've seen it, like, all right, let me go ahead and watch Hitch for the 33rd time this month. Yeah. So, he's my favorite. He's my favorite actor, entertainer of all time. So, of course, I'm okay with him being at number one.
Yeah, man. And recently, he's had some misses. I mean, he has not had the box office success that, like you said, back in the 90s, where he was kind of running the summer. I mean, he hit you with Independence Day. He hit you with Men in Black. He hit you with Bad Boys. There was a period of time where he just wasn't missing. So I guess we can give him some passes on some of these latest misses, because he's given us a lot of good ones.
He also did Aladdin recently, which was a big hit too. So he's had a couple recent that have Tanisha corrected me on that one.
Yeah, and Claire says his acting wasn't great when he first started. However, he's improved tremendously. I agree with that, but I don't know. He got a lot of critical acclaim. I think the first movie he was in was 6 Degrees of Separation, and everybody was applauding him for that in that movie because I think he played a gay man in the movie, and a lot of people were surprised at the range
Right.
that he showed in that movie, especially coming off of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where it was a comedy. He was always clowning, he's always funny, so he actually showed some depth as an actor. And then from there, he just fired off, like you said. It was a summer of Will for a long time, and so Will Smith definitely deserving. Oh, and I'll just throw this out. He's approaching like $7 billion, like box office, for his movies. So Will Smith is undoubtedly one of, or clearly tonight in our mind, he's the greatest musician turned actor of all time. The Fresh Prince himself, Will Smith. Got to give him props for that. So our
Yeah.
list is complete. To recap, we had our top five. We had Mark Wahlberg at number 5, Ice Cube at number 4, Jamie Foxx at number 3, Barbra Streisand at number 2, Will Smith number 1, and then our honorable mentions were Queen Latifah, Jennifer Lopez, and LL Cool J. So that is uh, who we think are the greatest musician turned actors of all time. We thank everybody for chiming in the comment section, giving us your opinions. We certainly appreciate that. Those that are listening to the podcast and want to catch us live, we record every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook. If you search the GOAT Debate Podcast on Facebook, you'll find us there, and you will be able to listen live and see the video recording of the GOAT Debate Podcast, although we might not want to see it tonight with all of our technical difficulties. But we thank you guys for hanging in there and participating. Dara's holding it down. Be sure to subscribe to all of our social media. You can find us at GOAT_debate on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, the GOAT Debate Podcast on the aforementioned Facebook. Darius, before we go, real quick, I do want to highlight Claire bringing up Brandy as maybe a snub. And Brandy indeed was or is a great actress. She hasn't been in anything recently. She had a lot of success with Moesha. Then, she did some movies. She did, I know she was in the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies, if you guys remember those. She had the one movie with Whitney Houston. I think was that a Cinderella remake, I think, that she did with
Yep.
with Whitney Houston. And so yeah, and like I said, Whitney Houston got a lot of votes too, and she was in some good movies, Preacher's Wife, Waiting to Exhale, The Bodyguard, of course, which that movie was out of here with the soundtrack and all of that. So yeah, man, there were a lot of people that got consideration, but I think our list was pretty solid.
Yeah, I think we did a good thing, with this list, the composites. And I think what Claire was referring to about Will Smith's shaky acting at start was, or if you remember on Fresh Prince, he used to mimic and mouth everybody's lines, and it was visible through that first season. So,
okay, gotcha. Okay,
that's where he got better. He didn't have to say everybody's line to remember his own line.
Oh, right. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, well, he's definitely improved leaps and bounds, since then, and he's regarded as one of the greatest actors in Hollywood today. So, well, that's going to do it for this episode number 15 of the GOAT Debate Podcast. We'll be back next week for another great episode. Be sure to subscribe to our social media. You can email us at goatdebate@gmail.com with any show ideas. You can DM us. You can, message us any show ideas. We're always looking for ideas from our great group of listeners out there. So definitely hit us up. Darius, any parting shots before we sign off?
Nope. Thanks again to everybody who was in that chat room, man. Chat room was awesome tonight. Whether you're on our Facebook or personal Facebooks or wherever you were listening, lots in action and much appreciated. Shout out to all of you.
Definitely. So we will see you guys next week. Until then, stay safe, and we'll catch you guys next week for another episode of the GOAT Debate. Talk to you later. Peace.